Aloha and welcome to, I think we're on day 17 this month. Hopefully you're finding things useful. Now I'm talking more about life in Japan specifically, building upon the tools we talked about in the first half of the month. So today, two exciting topics: job hunting and sales. Now, I'm not a salesperson, but I have a lot to say, and hopefully you'll find it useful. First, about job hunting. Being in HR and also being on job hunts in my life and being hunted, etc., I can speak a lot on job hunting. Job hunting in Japan is, I don't know, I've only lived here. It's probably very similar to job hunting anywhere else in the world. And that means you create a CV and you either put it online or you share it with a recruiter or you send it out to a company or something of that nature. However, I get a lot of texts from people, emails, saying, I want to work in Japan. Can you help me? Different levels of help, and to be honest, if you don't speak Japanese, don't read Japanese, the challenges are going to be this. The recruiting firms have a lot of candidates who are fluent in Japanese or who are in demand. Most companies will just assume they need someone who speaks Japanese. They don't always do, but it's something that I think is a knee-jerk thing. Like, someone needs to speak Japanese. And it's true, most colleagues will be Japanese in a company. It's helpful. It's a good skill. You are in Japan after all. And so they may not spend a lot of time on a candidate such as yourself because there's other candidates that are easier to sell. Those candidates may also, if they're in Japan, have have visas. What am I thinking? Have visas already. So there's very little processing for the company who's hiring you because the company will sponsor your visa. And that sounds complicated, but it's really not. But anyway, but it's just easier. Someone has a visa, less paperwork for the company. It's much, much, much simpler. That's if you're outside of Japan. So if you're outside of Japan, what do you do, right? This is the period of things like Wantedly and LinkedIn and Career Cross and online job searching agents and tools. Use those. Put your CV out there. Get yourself out there in that regards, right? Also, send your CVs directly to companies on LinkedIn and on websites if they're looking for people. I've been interviewed for jobs outside of Japan because of my many times. I've never taken those roles. I enjoy being here. At least I did at that time. Hey, if anyone's looking, I don't mind traveling a little bit, but post yourself that way. Additionally, if you can visit Japan, set up some interviews and then visit, there's nothing like meeting someone, right? I mean, if you're just a person on paper, it's easier to disregard you. But we've hired people, like at Paidy, for instance, we've hired people who contact our employees online, said, I'm coming to Japan, can I learn more about your business? We meet them, and then one of the hiring managers is like, that person's really impressive, let's hire them. So that's also one thing too. And it's a way of showing interest. Right? If you send an email to someone saying, I'm really interested in your company, it really sounds exciting, could I meet with you? You don't say, I'm looking for a job, help me, I'm desperate. No one likes desperate. No one likes desperate. Only abusers like desperate. Trust me on that one. But if, showing interest in people, as I said before in the first week, that's what people want to hear, right? That feels good when someone shows sincere interest. And if you find a company that is interesting, let them know you're interested. Let them know you'll be visiting Japan, and can you visit their office and learn more? That's my advice to you if you're outside of Japan. If you're in Japan, right? If you're in Japan, the typical networking techniques are hold sway there. That is, get yourself out there, meet people, listen to them, be involved. Listen to them, get information on what they're interested in, what the challenges they're facing, and then follow up with follow-up emails, coffee, etc. Build rapport with people who work at certain companies. I've forwarded CVs and stuff to people, but I'll give you an example. I have a really good friend who going through something. I don't know what he's going through because he doesn't tell me, but he's really down right now. Or at least he was when I met him a couple weeks ago, and he couldn't share with me why. Something's really wrong, and he shared with me his CV, and I forwarded the CV. I couldn't endorse the person though because I didn't know where they were mentally, right? I didn't know where they were, where they're at. And so the reason I'm saying that is, the reality is you've got to realize that even no matter what your problems happen to be, everyone has problems. Everyone has them. And so when you go out there and you're trying to find a job, remember, you're basically asking someone to hire you as a problem solver. So you have to show yourself as a problem solver. And myself, as someone who helps people network, my problem is understanding who you are, is understanding where you add value, understanding where your mind is, so I can credibly describe you to someone. And if I can't do that, you've just given me an additional problem that you're the only person who can solve it. So to be honest, it's not about find me a job. It's about I want to solve a problem. Help me find a problem to solve, right? And you find that by listening and finding out where the problem's at. Where the problem's at. Get out there, find some problems, find some problems you can solve, and build relationships with those people who have them problems. Boom. So that's the job hunting side. Now, sales. There's nothing about sales. No, it's reversed because I'm doing this, but this book says Japan Sales Mastery. I'm not sure whether this will be reversed or not when I finally look at this video, but if not, I'll put it down for a second here and just say that Dr. Greg Story, who's the president of Dale Carnegie Japan, wrote an excellent book on mastery of sales in Japan. And a lot of it's based on the Dale Carnegie principles I believe in very, very much, that have worked for me in my life. And that is about going out there and how do you sell not only products and services in your company, but yourself. So if you're starting a business and you're trying to sell a product, great book to read. It's called Japan Sales Mastery, written by Dr. Greg Story. If you're trying to sell yourself, you're out there marketing, it's a good thing to do. If you're out there selling you started in a company and you're in the sales division and you're like, how do I sell? I'm a recruiter for the first time, or I'm selling this for the first time. Great book to live by. Just to summarize some of the things that are in the book, and these are some good examples, give you some good examples that the book talks about, are, selling yourself is listening. A lot of times the salesperson, they have the product, and, if I sell widgets, everything is a widget. Every problem can be solved by widgets. And so you go out there saying, I have a software product. I got a problem, but I don't know whether software solves it, brother, man. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes people sell me things without even asking what I need, right? I'm in HR, they assume I need a recruiter, or I'm in HR, they assume I need. That may not be true. I have other problems. Trust me, got a lot of them. And there's a really good recruiter, and he works for Morgan McKinley. He's French, so he probably knows. If he listens to this video, he knows who he is. It's a good guy, and I gotta admit that good guy to me. I don't know what he is to other people, but I know that one thing that impressed me is he's asking me about what I need. He just asked me, what do you need? What kind of roles, what kind of people, what are you dealing with? And so I find that those type of salespeople, when I have to give them bad news, for instance, and I did have to give him bad news about a candidate at one point, I really had to spend a great time thinking about it. How to give this bad news? Can I resolve this problem before I even spoke to him? Because he had seemed to give me extra, and I wanted to give him extra. So a really good salesperson is going to get a lot of support from their clients, a truckload of it, and I wish him the best. So in bad examples, I was looking for training for employees at Payday, and I was talking to various companies that provided leadership training, etc. And one of these training companies they only sell a particular type of things, like coursework. It's like 8 weeks or whatever amount of weeks. I can't remember right now, but that just happened to be it. And as I was talking to him about what we needed, and he seemed to understand and take notes, but when they actually did the demonstration training, the results from the employees were, maybe there was 1 out of 15 who said, I might want to take this course, right? There was maybe 1 out of 15 who went to that session. They didn't seem to get it, right? It just didn't seem to be able to understand the problem I was facing. The problem I was facing was our employees didn't just need information. They needed inspiring training. They needed something that was delivered to them in a different way, an exciting way, because they're young, they're engineers, and they don't have a lot of time, right? And it just didn't work out, right? It just didn't seem to listen or get what I was coming from. So listening is really important. And I'm telling you, as someone who spends, I think we spend $1 million and almost $1 million in recruiting fees and hundreds of thousands of dollars on training, etc. Trust me, if you're a good salesperson, you're going to get my business. You're going to be the first person I think of. Dr. Story, you're one of the first people I think of when it comes to training, because you're just great at sales and you're great at delivery as well. So shout out to you, and shout out to Morgan McKinley as well. So those are just two examples. Those are just two things I wanted to talk about, specifically about job hunting in Japan, if you're outside in Japan. Also sales, if you're into sales and you're trying to sell something, or you have a new business or a new idea or a new you want to go out there and market, please get yourself a hold of this book, Japan Sales Mastery by Dr. Greg Story. You will not regret it, and it will set you up for success. Okay, well, tomorrow what I'm going to speak about is beliefs, right? I want to talk about that because I think that when you go out there, just like now you're listening to me, I have a belief system, so to speak, right? Everyone has different belief systems, and I'm asking you to go out there and listen to people. And when you listen to them, you're going to hear a lot of things. You're going to see beliefs being reflected in what they share with you that you may not share. So building respect for people's beliefs, even if you don't agree, is really important for success in life. We'll talk about that tomorrow. In the meanwhile, have a great one. Take care. Bye.